They say real friendship is rare, something you only find once or twice in a lifetime. And for the longest time, I believed I had found it with Jake. Jake and I met in college. We were both 19, broke, confused about the future, and clinging to the idea that we were somehow destined for something greater. We clicked instantly, not just because we shared the same sense of humor or taste in music, but because we understood each other. He wasn't just my friend, he was my brother. My family loved him, and his mom used to call me her second son. We started doing everything together. Late-night study sessions, spontaneous road trips, helping each other move from one terrible apartment to the next, the kind of moments that slowly build a bond most people would envy. We even talked about starting a business together one day. He was the kind of person I thought I could trust with my life. And for a while I did. There were red flags, of course, but like most people in love with the idea of loyalty, I ignored them. The subtle way he always had to win in arguments. How he'd sometimes take credit for things I did, even in front of others. I brushed it off. I told myself, that's just Jake being Jake. Looking back, I realized how naive I was. The betrayal didn't come suddenly. It was like a slow leak in a tire, quiet, unnoticed, until one day, everything crashed. But before I tell you how he became my worst enemy, I want to share how good things used to be. Because maybe then, you'll understand why it hurt so damn much when he turned on me. Back then, if someone had told me Jake would one day stab me in the back, I would have laughed in their face. But betrayal always comes from those we least expect. And Jake, he was the last person I ever thought I'd lose. Looking back now, I can't pinpoint the exact moment things started to shift between Jake and me. It wasn't some big argument or dramatic fallout. It was more like small, almost invisible cracks forming in what I thought was a solid foundation. It started with the little things. Jake began canceling plans more often, not with an apology, but with excuses that didn't make sense. Work's been crazy, he'd say, yet I'd see him tag in photos at bars or concerts. When I'd call him out, he'd laugh it off or accuse me of being too sensitive. And I let it slide, again and again. Then came the subtle digs. He started making jokes at my expense in front of other people. Nothing too obvious, but enough to sting. Comments about how I was still stuck in the same job, or how I always overthink everything. I'd laugh along with everyone else, but inside, I felt something shifting. Was I being paranoid? Or was Jake actually enjoying tearing me down? The worst part? I still wanted to believe the best in him. He was my best friend, after all. I convinced myself he was just going through a rough patch. Maybe he was stressed. Maybe he was jealous of something I wasn't even aware of. I tried to be patient, understanding, all the things you're supposed to be when someone matters to you. But then things got worse. I had started dating someone, Emily. Things are going well. She was kind, driven, and brought a sense of calm into my chaotic world. Jake didn't like her from day one. He never said it outright, but I could tell. He'd roll his eyes when I mentioned her, interrupt me when I tried to talk about how happy I was. One night, after a few drinks, he even said, "Don't get too attached. Girls like that don't stick around." That comment stuck with me. It felt venomous. I started to feel like I had to choose between my relationship and my friendship. Like being happy was somehow a betrayal to him. But Jake was my best friend. Wasn't he supposed to support me? I didn't know it then, but that was the beginning of the end. And the betrayal? It was just around the corner. The night everything unraveled started off like any other weekend hangout. A group of us, me, Jake, Emily, and a few mutual friends, met at a bar downtown. I remember being in a good mood. Work had finally started picking up, Emily had just gotten a promotion, and for once, life felt like it was aligning in my favor. Jake, on the other hand, seemed off. He was louder than usual, drinking faster, making sarcastic comments that felt more like jabs than jokes. Everyone laughed awkwardly, but I felt the tension boiling under the surface. Still, I pushed it aside. He's just in one of his moods, I told myself. Later that night, I stepped outside to take a call. When I came back, I noticed Jake and Emily talking at the bar. At first, I thought nothing of it. But as I got closer, I noticed the look on her face, uncomfortable, like she was trapped in a conversation she didn't want to be in. When she saw me, she immediately walked over and whispered, "We need to talk. Alone." We left early, and once we were alone in the car, she told me everything. Jake had been messaging her behind my back for weeks. It started off casual, just checking in messages, random compliments, jokes. But it escalated. Late-night texts, comments about our relationship, even hints that she deserves someone better, someone like him. I remember feeling like the air had been sucked out of my lungs. I didn't want to believe it. I kept shaking my head, asking, "Are you sure it wasn't a joke? Are you sure you didn't misread it?" But then she showed me the messages. There they were, in black and white. Words I never imagined would come from my best friend. Manipulative, entitled, and worst of all, calculated. He knew what he was doing. I felt betrayed in a way that's hard to describe. This wasn't just about Emily. This was someone I considered family, someone who would share my dreams, my failures, my life. That night, I didn't sleep. I just sat on the edge of my bed, reading those messages over and over again, each one stabbing deeper than the last. By morning, I knew what I had to do. The friendship was over, but the fallout, that was just beginning. I've never been great with confrontation. I'm the type who avoids conflict, keeps the peace, gives people the benefit of the doubt, even when they don't deserve it. But this couldn't be ignored. I called Jake the next morning. He answered with his usual fake enthusiasm. "Yo, what's up, man?" I didn't waste time. "We need to talk. Now, just you and me." We met at a quiet coffee shop, neutral ground. When he walked in, he looked smug, like nothing was wrong. Maybe he thought I didn't know yet. Maybe he thought he could spin it. I got straight to the point. I saw the messages. For a second, he froze. The look in his eyes changed, just for a moment, from relaxed to exposed. But he recovered quickly, leaning back in his chair with a sigh. "Look, man, it wasn't serious. I was just messing around. You know how I am." That excuse made my blood boil. "You were messing around? With my girlfriend?" Behind my back, he shrugged. "Dude, if she was really into you, none of that would have mattered, right?" That was it. The mask dropped. This wasn't guilt or regret. This was ego, arrogance. He didn't even feel sorry. He felt justified. I stood up, heart pounding in my chest, and for the first time in my life, I looked my best friend in the eyes and said, "We're done. Don't ever call me again." He laughed. As I walked away, I heard him say, "You're making a big deal out of nothing. You'll come around." But I didn't. The days that followed were strange. Empty. There was this silence where his voice used to be. No texts, no stupid memes, no late-night calls. I thought I'd feel relief, but what I felt was grief. Because losing a best friend feels a lot like losing a part of yourself. Mutual friends started reaching out. Some took my side. Others tried to stay neutral. A few even defended Jake, saying things like, "He's always been like that." And that hit me harder than I expected. He's always been like that. Had I been blind this whole time? Was I just the last one to see who he really was? After cutting Jake off, I expected things to get easier, simpler, cleaner. But instead, everything got messy. I kept replaying the past in my head, all the memories, all the conversations, trying to spot the signs I'd missed. I wasn't just angry at him. I was angry at myself for trusting too easily, for making excuses, for letting someone get so close without ever questioning their intentions. Emily was there for me during those weeks, but even that became complicated. Part of me couldn't look at her the same way, not because I blamed her, but because she had been involved in something that broke me. Unintentionally, yes, but still, she tried her best. She kept reminding me that she came to me with the truth, that she shut it down the moment it crossed a line. And I believed her. I did. But the wound was fresh, and trust, once shaken, takes time to rebuild. We eventually took a break. Not out of anger, but exhaustion. I needed to figure myself out alone. I needed space to heal. During that time, I started going on long walks at night. No music, no podcasts, just silence. It helped clear my mind in a way nothing else could. I also started journaling, something I used to think was pointless. But writing it all down helped me separate the truth from the noise in my head. One night, about a month after the fallout, I got a message from Jake. It said, "You're still mad?" I said I was joking. "Don't be such a drama queen." That was it. No apology. No ownership. Just more of the same manipulative BS I had finally broken free from. I didn't reply. I blocked his number. That moment, pressing block felt more powerful than any argument or revenge ever could. It was me choosing peace over chaos, closure over conflict. The truth is, sometimes you don't get an apology. Sometimes the people who hurt you never admit what they did. And learning to accept that is its own kind of strength. But even after everything, I couldn't shake one question. Why? Why would someone who called me his brother try to tear me down like that? And the answer? It came when I finally stopped looking at him and started looking inward. It's been over a year now since I last spoke to Jake. In that time, life has changed, not dramatically, but in quiet, meaningful ways. I moved to a new apartment, reconnected with people I had drifted from, focused more on my work, my health, and maybe most importantly on myself. There are still days when I think about him, not with anger anymore, but with a kind of detached curiosity, like remembering a dream that once felt real but no longer holds power over you. Sometimes I wonder if he ever feels guilt or if he even remembers what he did. But honestly, it doesn't matter anymore. What matters is what I learned. Betrayal doesn't always come with warning signs. It doesn't always show up in villain costumes. Sometimes it comes from someone who knows all your secrets, who knows exactly how to twist the knife because you once handed it to them, willingly. Jake taught me that not everyone you trust is worthy of it. But more importantly, he taught me that I am still whole without him. I used to define friendship by loyalty, by history. I thought the longer someone was in your life, the more they deserved to stay in it. But now I know that time means nothing without respect and intentions that align. People change, or maybe they just reveal who they've been all along. And as much as it hurt, I'm grateful for what happened, because that betrayal forced me to grow. It showed me my own strength. It made me draw boundaries I never thought I could draw. It taught me to value the people who truly show up, not just when it's convenient, but when it counts. I don't hate Jake. I don't wish him harm, but I will never let him back into my life. And if you're going through something similar, if someone you trusted hurt you deeply, let me tell you this. You're not weak for feeling pain. You're not broken because someone broke your trust. And you're absolutely allowed to walk away, even from the people who meant the most to you. Because sometimes losing someone you once loved is exactly what sets you free.